Hi, I'm Alex. This is Oh, That's Why, a podcast about JavaScript, finally making sense. Let's dig in. You've been running JavaScript for years, but I'm not sure you've ever seen it. I don't mean writing it. I don't mean reading it. I mean really seeing what happens the moment you hit run. Because here's the thing. Most developers, and I was absolutely one of them, have a mental model that goes something like this. I write the code, I run the code, JavaScript reads the first line, does the first thing, reads the second line, does the second thing, reads the third, and so on, all the way to the end. Top to bottom, line by line, simple. And that model is not wrong exactly, but it is incomplete. And that gap between what you think is happening and what is actually happening is the source of some of the most confusing bugs you will ever encounter in JavaScript. The kind where a variable exists before you defined it. The kind where a function works before it is written. The kind where you stare at the screen thinking, how is that possible? I remember hitting these moments and feeling like the language was playing tricks on me. It wasn't. I just didn't know what JavaScript does before it runs your code. And that's the question for today. Before a single line of your code executes, what does the JavaScript engine actually do? Let's figure that out. Before we answer that, I want to give you a picture, because once you have this image, the rest is going to feel obvious. Think of a theater, not during the show, before it. You've bought your ticket, the doors aren't open yet. But inside that building, behind the closed curtain, there is an enormous amount of work already happening. The lighting crew has walked the whole stage. Every light has been positioned, tested, aimed at exactly the right spot. The stagehands have checked every prop, every piece of furniture, every door that needs to open at the right moment. The actors have read the entire script. They know every line, every entrance, every exit. The director has mapped out the whole performance, beginning to end, before a single audience member has taken their seat. None of that work is visible to you. You will never see it, but the entire show depends on it. Now, when those doors open and the curtain rises, the performance doesn't start from scratch. It starts from a state of complete preparation. JavaScript works exactly the same way. When you tell JavaScript to run your code, it doesn't just start at line 1 and go. First, it reads the whole script, the entire thing. It walks through every variable declaration, every function, every piece of structure in your code. It builds a mental model of what exists and where. It sets up the environment. And only then, once that preparation is complete, does it come back to line 1 and actually start executing. The audience only sees the performance, but the performance only works because of everything that happened before the curtain rose. That preparation phase, in JavaScript, is called the memory creation phase. And the performance itself, that's the execution phase. 2 phases. Every single time you run JavaScript, without exception. Now, with that picture in your head, let's look at what is actually happening in each one. Every time JavaScript runs, before it touches a single instruction in your code, it creates something called the global execution context. Think of this as the main stage, the room where everything is going to happen. Inside that room, JavaScript does 2 things in sequence. Phase 1, it scans. Phase 2, it runs. Let's talk about phase 1 first. The memory creation phase. During this phase, JavaScript reads through your entire code, top to bottom, and does 3 things. First, it finds every variable declaration and registers it. Not the value, just the name. It's like the stagehand walking the stage and making a list of every prop that needs to be there. The props are not in position yet, but their names are on the list. Second, it finds every function declaration and stores the entire function in memory. The whole thing, not just the name, the actual body. This is different from variables, and it matters. We will come back to this in a future episode because it is behind some genuinely surprising behavior. Third, it creates two special things that are always present. The global object, in a browser that is the window, in Node that is global, and a reference to something called this. At the top level, this points to that global object. So by the time the memory creation phase is done, JavaScript knows every variable that exists in your code, even if those variables have no value yet. It knows every function with its full body ready to go, and the stage is set. Then phase 2 begins, the execution phase. Now JavaScript comes back to line 1, and this time it actually runs the code, line by line, top to bottom, the way you always imagined it worked. When it hits a variable assignment, it fills in the value that was registered during phase 1. When it hits a function call, it uses the function body it stored during phase 1. When it hits an expression, it evaluates it. This is the performance. The curtain is up. The audience is watching. Now, here's where that theater analogy does something useful. Imagine a prop that the director listed on the inventory, but nobody assigned an actual prop to. The slot exists. The name is on the list. But when the actor reaches for it, their hand closes on nothing. In JavaScript, that is what undefined means. When you declare a variable in phase 1, JavaScript registers the name, but it sets the value to something called undefined, a placeholder. The slot exists, but it is empty until phase 2 fills it in. This is why JavaScript can be surprising. You can reference a variable before the line where you assigned it, and JavaScript won't crash. It will just give you undefined, because the registration happened in phase 1. The assignment happens in phase 2. Here is the full picture one more time. You hit run. JavaScript doesn't start at line 1. It creates the global execution context. It runs the memory creation phase, scanning everything, registering variables as undefined, storing functions in full. Then, and only then, it runs the execution phase. Line 1, line 2, all the way through. 2 phases, 1 stage. Everything that seems like magic in JavaScript, the variables that exist before you define them, the functions that work before you write them, it all traces back to this, to the preparation that happens before the curtain rises. Now that you understand how JavaScript prepares before it runs, let me show you where most people go wrong. The first trap is the one that gets almost everyone early on. Imagine you are reading through someone's code, or your own, from 6 months ago. You see a variable being used at the top of the code, and then further down you see where it is declared and given a value. And you think, wait, how is this not crashing? That variable is being used before it exists. But here's what you now know. It does exist. In the memory creation phase, JavaScript already registered it. It just has no value yet. It is undefined. The trap is assuming that undefined means not there. It doesn't. It means there, but empty. And code that relies on a variable before it is assigned a value, that is a bug. A silent one. The kind that doesn't throw an error. It just gives you wrong behavior, and you spend an hour figuring out why. The second trap is a bit more subtle, and this one catches developers who have been writing JavaScript for years. Because of the way phase 1 works, function declarations are stored in full, immediately, the entire body, before anything runs. But there is another way to define a function in JavaScript, by assigning it to a variable. And that variable follows the variable rules. In phase 1, it is registered as undefined. In phase 2, the function body gets assigned. The trap is treating these two things the same way. If you try to call a function that was defined as a variable, before the line where it gets assigned, you are not going to get the function. You are going to get undefined. And calling undefined as if it were a function, that crashes. Two different things, two different behaviors. And the difference comes entirely from what JavaScript does in phase 1 versus phase 2. Third trap, and this one is the quietest. Some developers know about the two phases. They have heard the word hoisting, which is the name people give to the way JavaScript seems to pull declarations to the top of the code. But they think hoisting is something JavaScript does to their code, like it physically moves things around. It doesn't. Your code stays exactly where you wrote it. What changes is the order of operations. Phase 1 reads everything. Phase 2 runs everything. Hoisting is not a transformation. It is a consequence of the two-phase model. Understanding that distinction matters because it changes how you reason about what is actually happening. These are not obscure edge cases. These are things that show up in real code bases, in code reviews, in interviews. And now you will see them immediately because you understand the two phases behind them. JavaScript never just runs. It always prepares first, and that preparation is everything. That is the thing nobody told me when I was learning this. I spent a long time thinking JavaScript was unpredictable, that it had quirks you just had to memorize. And then one day I understood the two phases, and every single quirk became a logical consequence. Once you see that, you can't unsee it. If you want to see this in code, the companion article on Medium walks through real examples. Same concept, concrete and visual. Link is in the show notes. Next week, we go inside the preparation. We look at what actually gets built during the memory creation phase, what it is called, and why understanding it is the key to understanding almost everything else in JavaScript. You will want that one. I'm Alex Vega. This is Oh, That's Why. See you next week.